right, welcome to the second review of the evening. Up this time is Spellforce 3, Reforced. Why, yes, this was published by THQ Nordic. How could you tell?
Respelled would have actually even worked better there, I think.
Probably, but I'm not naming these things.
Or recast, perhaps?
Look, pick it up with them.
Yeah.
Anyway, Spellforce 3 Reforced is a unique mix of an epic RPG storyline blended with accessible real-time strategy elements, designed to offer a riveting console experience for fans and newcomers alike. It is the year 518. No, nothing after that. It's just 518. The rebellion of the renegade mages, known as the Mage Wars, has been quashed by the Crown. However, it is a Pyrrhic victory. Whole regions have fallen into anarchy. Refugees roam the lands in search of shelter, and the mysterious deadly plague known as the Blood Burn has arisen and is spreading rapidly. In times like these, people cling to any signs of hope they can find. The Purity of Light, led by a charismatic man called Rondar Lactane, claims that mages are the source of all misfortune. And this is only the second coming of Anyer, the father of all gods. Will return Io to its former splendor. I'm not sure if I'm getting some of these names right because, fantasy names.
Indeed.
Yeah, the story takes place before the acclaimed Spellforce, The Order of Dawn. Features an innovative mix of unique gameplay blending of RTS and RPG naturally together. Streamlined for consoles. Yes, this is where the Reforced comes in because from what I understand here, this is a reinterpretation for the PlayStation and Xbox consoles of the original Spellforce 3 and its DLC. You might notice that whole real-time strategy portion there. I'm interested to see how that fared because, the history of real-time strategy on consoles is not great. So, over to you, Petty.
Yeah, this game, I don't know what the hell they did, but, for instance, the camera controls, it feels like it's trying to emulate mouse and just keyboard. Like, you can't go diagonally with it. You try and go diagonally, it just freaks out.
I guess you could make an argument that diagonal is hard to do when you have radial coordinates, but also it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Okay. You can do that with real-time strategy games, but, you can also use the mouse to move.
Yeah, typically, a lot of them, it's right-click, and then you can use your mouse to maneuver wherever.
Does the touchpad work?
Only to bring up the character select. I can't, use this as a trackpad.
Okay. It was worth checking, because that's a feature of the PlayStation 4. And 5, I think.
Yes. But yeah, I guess this game is kind of split up into two, major parts. There are parts like this where it functions almost similarly to, say, Warcraft, where you kind of get champions, you can maneuver them around the overworld and have them do various things. And then when you get out into combat, you can start doing the base building, the unit building, resource management, stuff like that.
Okay, so how do the RPG elements factor into this?
A lot of them are mainly with your heroes. As you can see, the abilities wheel. You get abilities with your heroes. So, when you have them in battle, they gain experience, they can use it to level up, get gear, get abilities. your typical, I guess almost like CRPG-esque fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe there are unit upgrades, but I only had time to do one overworld battle, and that was in the prologue.
Okay.
So sorry. Part of the problem with this is the text is really small, and it's not being helped by the fact I have to play it in a rather small window because of the capture setup.
Right, but this is the kind of thing that often gets overlooked.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
playing it on a full-size TV, it's not terrible, like, text-wise.
well, I mean, this is a problem I've been hearing quite a bit lately, and it reminds me of back when things first jumped back to HD.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same. It's the same basic problem in that, they're making UIs and text and everything for 4K. I don't think specifically for this game. I think it's another problem. If I had to venture a personal bet, it would be, you see this game, it's a very PC centric game. PC UIs are meant for eyeballs that are a fairly close distance away, generally, versus the television, which is usually a lot farther away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
You know,
I'm not seeing any kind of large text option, which it would even just be good for an accessibility option,
uh-huh.
But that's just a me thing.
Right. Now, mind you, it could be it could be also an HD thing or a 4K thing, because this game is technically being listed for the PlayStation 5, but it's actually a cross-gen game.
Right.
It's just, we do not have access to a PlayStation 5 right now.
Yeah, I don't feel like ponying up nearly $1,000 unless I can miraculously find one, at retail.
Right. But, it is, this is still, I'll note, a PlayStation 4 game. We haven't been covering a lot of PlayStation 4 games lately because, well, quite frankly, the PlayStation 4 is on its way out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only becoming a much rarer thing. That's why I'm glad Petty got the Switch, because that's still that doesn't have a successor on the horizon or available. Anyway, anything else you wish to detail?
It's really easy to get lost, but that's
Yep.
more of a, that's less of a port issue and more of a general game problem.
I mean, though, this is an issue when you don't have a center key.
Yes. Because, as you can see, by default, if I didn't know where my dudes were, like if I was in the middle of a battle and switched to a different unit set, I probably wouldn't be able to find these guys again without any sort of, the unit grouping. Where is that? Yeah. I can set unit groups. Basically, it seems like they took a lot of stuff from, Halo Wars, I want to say. Because that seems to be, the only console RTS, at least decent.
There's a few others. Pikmin comes to mind. Hell, all the way back in 1989, there was a game called Herzog's Y, which was an RTS before, RTSs were really codified.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's like a console RTS that works is usually something that was idealized from the ground up to work on consoles, unless, we're porting something from the PC. Once again, I'll note even the great Age of Empires hasn't gotten a console port since the PlayStation 2.
And we don't talk about that version.
Well, that's mainly because that only came out in like Europe.
Yeah.
But my point is like, yeah, real time strategy doesn't really come to consoles that often,
And like
and it
as
sounds
far,
like
go ahead.
and it sounds like the porting company didn't really do an especially great job of bringing Spellforce 3 to the platforms.
Yeah.
Anyway, you may continue.
The voice acting is decent. You get the first, I believe, 2 campaigns, and then I believe there is like 1 or 2 more that is additional DLC. So if you wish to continue your adventures, I don't know if it's a full game, but at least this campaign I'm playing now, you basically play as the, I guess, main antagonist's son or daughter, depending on the gender you pick. And yeah, I guess your main goal is go kill dad. Your typical by the book CRPG, my dad's the villain type thing.
Uh-huh. If not father, then brother.
Yeah. Yeah, brother's a pretty common one.
I mean, it can work. Like the entire Baldur's Gate saga was built off of that.
Hmm. And yeah, they have tutorials out the ass. You can get books for lore.
I can't fault them for tutorializing this to the hilt, because once
Hmm.
again, this isn't the kind of game that shows up very often, and usually it's because, and when it does, it's going to be using every button on the controller,
Hmm.
and even combinations.
Yep. I don't know if this allows for mouse and keyboard support because I didn't have a chance to plug
It,
mine in at least on the console version.
I mean, it should.
Should and does are 2 very different things because that's picked by developer for PS4.
That is fair enough.
The
And
Xbox
even
version probably would allow it by default, but PS4 is very much the developer has to opt that in.
mm,
And then you also have your good old skirmishes and whatnot. And your character is a blank slate. You get to choose your class. So there is that. You can spec your character. I don't know what if respecing is allowed or what that takes. So keep that in mind. Your class selection and stuff may be permanent. So I guess save before you make a big decision and be prepared to revert if you don't like it.
mm-hmm.
Combat is, overworld stuff is your typical kind of hectic RTS. Bring bigger army, squash dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're really penalized for really Zerg rushing that much. So, go on, have at it. There isn't really a whole lot of, I guess, quote unquote, strategy like some RTS games have. As far as like I guess, hero dungeons, because there are a couple of those
Yeah.
where it's just the hero characters. It's fine. That's probably more the tactical part than the actual overworld combat. Um, your what's it called? Your resources are both cooldown, and you actually have like spell points and stuff.
Right.
Units do cost like resources that you can have, like peasants or like regular people get on the field. Heroes don't collect materials though, so you have to make sure you make room in your like population math for regular people to actually be able to collect resources.
Mm.
Music is the typical, you know. If you've listened to one CRPG soundtrack, you've listened to them all, especially in this time period.
Mm.
Like, it's not terrible, but I'm literally listening to like, yeah, this is appropriate, but it didn't wow me to make me want to go look for the soundtrack or anything like that. Any questions or comments from you guys?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, because like, you can talk to people, get lore, or just not, and go complete your objectives.
All right. So in terms of pricing, so a bit interesting here because the base price is $39.99. There is a game trial if you subscribe to the PlayStation Plus Premium to play a. You can play a 2-hour full game trial,
You won't
but
get very far in
there's
that trial, but yeah.
yeah, there's also the full price complete edition at $69.99, which is Spellforce 3 Reforced and 2 DLC packs, Soul Harvest and Fallen God.
Mm.
I'm not sure if you got the complete edition or not. I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
But I'll just ask,
Go ahead.
is this game worth $40 for your console?
Honestly, if you were to just blind buy this, no. But if you do have access to the PlayStation Plus trial thing, try it and see if you can get around the controls. If the controls aren't a problem for you, $40 is fine. If
Yeah.
if you do the trial and find these controls are like infuriating, is this game available still on PC?
Yes.
Look in the PC version. Like, the story is interesting enough that if I had time, I might look into it, but the controls hold it back immensely on consoles.
Yeah. And I will note. This is a specific review of Reforced for the consoles
Yes.
because you know I would just consider Spellforce 3 for the PC a different game.
Mm-hmm.
Or there is a Reforced on Steam, but once again, um, it's gonna play just inherently better than on a console
Mm-hmm.
because you know this was made for PCs. It's gonna take it, and also like there's a lot more in the way of the sorry, that's all the Spellforce packs. No, it has the same amount of DLC. No, I'm thinking of Order of the Dawn, which is looking to be a new standalone affair. Uh, these things get confusing sometimes.
Yeah. And, like, depending on the community, I don't know for sure, but it may have, like, if it has community support, then you may be able to get interesting mod packs on PC, but I don't know this for certain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely... PC is probably the way you want to go.
Yeah.
But again, if PS4 is your only option, or 5 for that matter, try the demo or the trial if it's A, still available when you're listening to this, and B, if you have PlayStation Plus access, Giving the demo a shot's fine. Because the first 2 hours, you could probably get through the prologue. And it'll give you a decent idea on where if you want to continue with the game or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's it from me.
All right. So yeah, that'll about do it for Spellforce 3 Reforced. Be sure to tune in after the break, as well. I guess for lack of a better term, both Petty and the Galax will be covering "Destroy All Humans: Clone Carnage."